In this section, I'm just going to walk you through where to start with measuring your carbon footprint and what the next steps are. I'm just going to walk you through some of the simple ideas about how to measure first, and then come on to an example of a carbon calculator where you can get a rough idea of your footprint in around 2 minutes. The main thing with getting your carbon footprint technically measured is that you're going to need a lot of data. That data is typically required by a lot of the free tools and by the paid tools. Even if you come to someone like Small 99 as a consultancy to come through and gather this data first, the first question I'm going to ask you is, do you have your energy bill data? Do you have commuting emissions data? Do you have business travel data? So try and get that data first and get prepared. That will get you a head start really on any questions, and it might be you need that over multiple years as well. If you are feeling that that's going to be a really tough thing for you to do, start with one area and just build up over there. Business travel or things like fuel receipts are typically quite an easy thing for you to start gathering up and work with your accounts department on if possible. And if you've got energy bills, again, can be quite a simple single resource with all the information for you. It might also be that you want to find someone who really likes spreadsheets, because this is going to typically end up in a spreadsheet at some point down the line. So do try and find someone and be honest with yourself about your limitations with numbers if you're not a numbers person. When it comes to actually measuring your footprint, there's going to be a few different ways that you can approach it, and I'm just going to walk you through some of the examples now. For example, the tool we're going to look at in a minute is quite a general tool that we've built. It's going to be free, it's fast, but it's going to have limited accuracy. There's quite a few tools out there on the market that will do this for you, where it's going to ask fairly generic, simple questions to get an idea of your footprint, but it might not be the most accurate. As we move up that accuracy level, it might be we'll look at something like spend-based, where we'll take your accounts data to build a very rapid picture of what your footprint will look like. They are typically quite low cost, not always free, but they are very fast and they are more accurate than that generic idea. I think the key thing there is it requires you to have quite accurate accounts data as well, though, so that might be another barrier if you've not been working with an accountant or with ideally something like a cloud-based accounts package such as Xero, Sage, or anything like that. And finally, there's an activity-based, and this is the most accurate method, but it's typically the most expensive and the most time-consuming. And this is where an agency or a kind of consultancy will come into your business and help work with you directly to identify where your emissions are coming from and help you through that data gathering process. The benefit is you will have on-hand support where you can ask questions and maybe navigate some of the nuance and some of the challenges you might face around reduction. But essentially, there is no wrong answer, and I always think that any data is better than no data. So starting with a general approach or starting with a spend-based approach, again, you're going to work your way up. And I think this is the key thing to bear in mind, is that it's quite likely your footprint is going to increase as you gather more data. The more data you gather, the more accurate your footprint will be, but also the higher your footprint will be, and you're going to start filling in gaps as you go here. Some examples of measurement there might be something like energy bills, where you then start estimating business travel. Once you've done that, then you might start estimating your staff commuting. But it's going to be really a case of building that over time, and being rough and ready is okay, and being transparent as you go and build that up about where that data is coming from and any limitations. If we look at something like business travel, it might be you only start by measuring your flights and some of the big train journeys, but it might be that you omit some of the more fractional ones where you're only doing 2 miles on the train, and maybe you take an estimate of that over a year. That's not really an issue in my mind, I think, as long as you're being transparent when you do your report about how you've arrived at that assumption and that methodology. If you do need help, do ask as well. There's plenty of people out there that can help with this, so don't be afraid to ask this. It is a new thing that you're going to be going through. So on that note, I'm just going to walk you through a tool now that will help you estimate your footprint. So based on your 5 categories, we're going to get you some basic ideas, and we're going to do that using the Small 99 tool. There's a link on the screen. So if you go to measure.small99.co.uk, and then there's a link there for you to get started.